Rebecca, tell me your last name.
My name is Rebecca Wallace-Segal.
Oh, see, that's a great last name. That just sounds like you write. Like Wallace and Segal, like those are really writing type names.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
You had no other choice but to go into this.
Well, actually, so then I hyphenated when I got married, and so did my husband and my whole family. And so then the first time I published under my hyphenated name, of course, it got published the wrong way. So
really?
That was my introduction to the hyphenation, the world of hyphenation. So but that was
our kids are hyphenated.
cool.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
I'm Wolfeld, and she's Gosk.
Oh,
and the
beautiful.
kids have the longest names ever. They'll never be able to write it. Harper will be 12 before she can write her own last name. It's like Harper, Estelle, Wolfeld, Gosk. Like, who can say that? I can't even say
Yeah,
it.
my 7-year-old's been reading since she's 5, and she still can't spell her last name.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
Yeah.
Are you named her after your grandmother?
Yeah, after all that, Harper Estelle. Do you want to hear a quick story? You should hear the
Love
story.
that, yeah.
We wanted to name her Estelle. And I had the whole conversation. My mom's going to kill me for telling her this, but clearly she's not watching. So
Is she going to kill you as much as you're going to kill me after for the whole...
for telling everyone where I live,
Yes.
I was like, hey, why don't you not do that? How about don't do it? You're
I don't
like,
know what I'm doing.
here
either.
you're doing it. How do you come here?
Why don't you
I
just throw
had
something
the
at me next
entire scenario planned, how I was going to tell my mom that I was naming our firstborn after her mom, after my grandmother. Estelle, classic, and Estelle was classic, and God, I loved her more than anything in the world. And what an amazing gift I'm giving to my mom that I'm passing down. And I had like fantasies of how it was going to go, and she was going to cry, and she was going to hug me, and it was going to be so beautiful. And she was going to be like, "This is the greatest gift you ever gave to me." And we're Jewish, so we named with the E, and was looking at E and Estelle, and it was so perfect.
Your mom's watching.
She is. Anyway, it went well. So this is Rebecca.
Great story.
Yeah, so that was awesome. It didn't have much of an arc as a writer.
I'm compelling.
Yeah, I'm sure you
Compelling.
are.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you real quick. I tell her and her.
Oh, Kvelling. There's Kveller, right? Is there like an online thing, Kveller?
Feller? Well,
Kvelle.
Kveller?
Kveller, yeah, there's a show
Yeah.
there. There's some, there's a...
Anyway,
Yeah.
well, I say this to my mom, and I tell her walking down the street, and I'm just waiting for the hug. Like, I was almost looking this way, and I wanted to, like, just really take it all in. Like, I thought the tears were going to pour, and I was like, when's it going to happen? I had chills, everything was coming. And she goes, yeah, I mean, look, you just really need the E. So, there are great names with E, but you... And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not understanding the words you're saying. This is not how the script went when I wrote it in my head. This is not how it was supposed to go. And so, as much as we wanted to, we ended up we loved Harper also, so we gave it to her as a second name. And now she's 3, and she's finally understanding what a middle name is, so she can say Hopple Estelle. Hopple Estelle.
Amazing.
And that's cute,
That's
and that's
so
really
cute.
good. And your kids, what are their names?
Their names are Maxanne.
Is it a girl?
It's a girl,
Adorable.
Maxanne, and my second girl is Joelle.
So is Max Anne 2 words that you put into one?
It's one word.
Max, M-A-X-A-N-N-E?
Yeah.
Love.
Thank you.
That's a great name.
Thank you. Made it up in like the delirium of pregnancy
Yeah.
the night before she was coming.
Really?
Yeah. And
Come on, you had no names the night before your baby was born?
Well, like we knew it was going to be M. We're also Jewish. It
Right.
was after my husband's mother.
Okay.
She's Marilyn. I love the name Marilyn. He had this maybe a similar response as your mom.
Sure.
It was too much.
Yeah.
Or he felt it was too much for him to have Marilyn
Okay.
as his daughter. So I always loved Max for a girl. But we wanted to give her an option to have a longer name in case she wanted it.
Right.
But I wasn't too. I like Maxine, but I wasn't too crazy about that.
Right.
And so we just started making up. My husband made a spreadsheet because he's a geek.
I love it. I love
And
it.
we just like tried all sorts of things, and then Maxanne, and then the next day Maxanne was born.
And you were Segal or you were Wallace?
Segal.
Segal.
Yeah, yes.
Or you're Segal and your husband is Wallace.
Yes.
And did you have an argument over which one came first?
Not at all.
It was always going to be...
Wallace-Segal. Segal Wallace sounded choppy.
Okay, so we had the exact same thing. I'm a W.
Yeah.
So it was Wolfeld Goss, because Goss Wolfeld is, nobody can say
No,
it, and it's so ugly. But Wolfeld Goss somehow was not. I don't know.
Right. So
Anyway.
the aesthetic won over any other kind of thing.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I'm so glad, because I was looking at you and I'm wondering, like, well, how did she name her kids? And now I came to the bottom of it. So
Now you know.
now
The
I
mystery
know.
solved.
Yeah, because that
Yeah.
was a mystery. Rebecca, so I will tell you this. We took Harper to a camp this summer on 81st and Amsterdam, and it was called Book Nook.
Oh yeah.
Every day we walk by Book Nook, and there's this little like, whatever you call it, a store, not a storefront, but you pass like a little area where you can go into right next door to Book Nook, and it's a place called Rightopia. every day, every day, every day, every day. And Harper was fascinated by it. Like, Book Nook had all these little kids her age, her friends, and all she wanted was because your sign had some purple in it, and she really wanted to somehow to be part of Rightopia. Anyway, that was like the whole story.
Okay.
Then all of a sudden yesterday, I'm talking to a friend of yours, and she says the words Rightopia. I go, that's really funny. My daughter is obsessed with, turns out, it's you.
That's amazing.
You're
Rightopia.
Rightopia.
It's all come together.
It's all coming together.
Meant to be.
So tell me about it. What is it? What have I been walking by for the last summer?
So it's a creative writing community for kids. So we actually do serve little ones, but most of our program serves ages 7 to 18. And also when our kids graduate, they end up becoming our interns and our assistant teachers and ultimately our instructors down the road.
Yeah.
To be an instructor, there you have to be a published author or a produced playwright. And Courtney, who was on your show yesterday, was one of our very first authors we had ever hired to run workshops. So she's there from the beginning. She helped us develop the soul of the organization. She's a beautiful human being.
Yes, she is.
And so then she told me about this wonderful community right here.
Yes.
And so our kids join small workshops. From a very young age, we play writing games and we help them. I guess what really distinguishes our program from other programs is that we don't have anything gimmicky. We don't say, this week we're going to write about superheroes. Instead, we have long, big, fun conversations with the kids where we find out what each child wants to write. So one boy might be obsessed with sports stories. A girl might have this romantic fantasy idea where the whole thing is taking place with in a fantasy world, and it's all relationship driven. And then we have teens who sometimes are writing really dark content. And, so we have all different kinds of stuff. We have playwrights and screenwriters, and all of our instructors are authentic, experienced, and successful writers. We're bringing in writers who can role model the happy joys of writing.
Sure.
So we bring in successful, happy writers who get trained in all the different genres. And we help each child figure out what they want to write.
Love.
And they do love it.
How old are the kids?
So our biggest, we're mostly 7 to 18, but we do have lots of 5s and 6s and even some 4s. There's some overlap with the Book Nook community, but so it's story driven for that age. Their writing is.
I'm always curious. I mean, is there really a correlation between really introducing something like writing at a young kid at a young age and whatever the interest they may have in it or the reading they may partake in or whatever, that it becomes part of their lives as they get older?
I have to say,
it does.
It's profound.
Really?
So my daughter, Maxanne, she's 7. She's been coming to us. She was part of our guinea pig group when we developed our programming for the youngest group. And every class that she's in, the teacher says to me, I have to pull you aside, Rebecca, all the kids who go to Rightopia are writing so fluently, with such confidence and with such joy because they're comfortable doing it. Right. So right away from a young age, I didn't know. When I started this 9 years ago, I just knew that kids loved it and I loved it and all the instructors love it. I just knew this is something we all very much enjoyed. Right. I didn't actually know what all the results were going to be.
Yeah.
So, fast forward 9 years later, the kids, we're seeing it, we're measuring it, we're recording it, profound impact. So, it actually to this point where I feel like our last 2 years, our mission has been to get into schools more and to community-based organizations that serve low-income kids. We're a nonprofit organization. That's a whole other complex part of the story. Mm-hmm. But we've been trying to figure out how to get our programming in the hands of as many teachers as possible so that it's not just the lucky kids who get to wander into Rightopia who have this transformative experience.
What is the program? Because it sounds like they just come and they're able to free think and all of it.
You mean the method?
Yeah. Yes. Is there structure to it?
Yes, there's structure to it. So first and foremost,
it's crazy in there. Everybody comes in and they're writing all over the place and then they leave.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Or we said just few people have come in who you're interviewing.
Oh, sorry. This is, and I will do that. That's my bad. This is Rebecca Wallace-Segal.
Nice.
Thank you very much. I probably won't get it the second time. She is a writer. I would imagine are you a published author as well?
I'm a journalist. I'm the only nonfiction writer in all of Rightopia, and everyone else are published fiction authors already.
She runs a writing lab in New York City for kids, and it's brilliant and it's genius. And kids come in and they take all the crazy thoughts that are running amok in their heads and they put it to paper and they develop into these young, prolific, beautiful writers, and then we send them off into the world. And this was important to you, and you felt like this was something that needed to happen, and you created Writopia.
Yeah, I can. And so your last question was, what is the structure, or what is the class?
Right.
What are we actually doing besides creating this nice space where they can write? So the groups are very small. We close them at 7. So the first part of our method is really essential, and that is helping them each child figure out what they want to write. That's really that's actually a radical concept, because nowhere in their life are they being asked that. They're being told what to write. So right away, they're suddenly getting excited and invigorated, and getting connected to the writing experience, instead of feeling like, I can't write, or writing's boring, or writing feels weirdly disconnected to me, right? Suddenly they're in it. That's huge. And then we don't teach structure on the first day. We don't say, hey, here's a plot diagram and this is story. We just get them excited and help them figure out what they want to write, and we do teach them opening scene, like an engaging scene with dialogue, and we give them games to bring that out. And then, as we're going, we use structure to help keep them going.
But it's still their thoughts and their writing and everything.
But when you're asking about the method, what we'll do is we'll say, okay, you're stuck. That's because your character just overcame an obstacle. Now, what would be a heightened obstacle? Or we play different games to get there. So we're using structure to help them get through the piece and actually finish pieces. Our kids finish pieces, and they win more awards, and they get published more than any group of kids in the entire country.
Really?
Yes. For the last 7 years, our teens have outperformed every school in the city, every school in the nation, in the Scholastic Writing Awards competitions, and we don't have a competitive culture. It's this, it's this beautiful, authentic writing community. What do you want to write? They're getting real feedback from real writers, and so it's this interesting dance. It's an interesting situation for us, because we want to give them all these publishing opportunities, but not generate a stressful culture. So that's what we're negotiating as adults. But the kids are just writing, having a great time, and
Is there only one one place in the city, one Writopia?
So we are Upper West Side. We're Park Slope. We're also in Washington D.C., L.A., Chicago. All over Westchester, Connecticut, New Jersey.
How wonderful.
Yeah.
What's your website?
Writopialab.org.
Okay. Just in case I needed to, send Harper there in 2 years. So 5 years old.
Yeah.
How do they write? Do they write with pencils? Are they on the computer?
Yeah. So we use.
Because I'm sure my kids are never going to learn how to write with computers and the emails and the texting.
Oh, you mean like physically?
Yeah, I'm afraid like they're never going to learn how to write.
Right. Well, that kids don't know script anymore.
Oh,
they can't read script.
I did a whole story in the Today Show that script died. Like,
script died.
I felt terrible. I mean, I missed the funeral, but the script is dead.
Yeah.
And you missed your grandmother's funeral.
I missed my grandmother. I'm like all about missing funerals this lifetime.
I had 3 kids going to Ivies that I helped with college essays this last year, and they couldn't read notes that teachers left them in script.
Isn't that crazy?
My 7-year-old knows how to read script.
Really?
I'm like, you're gonna read script. Just because.
And how do they write?
Okay, yeah. So to answer your question, we use all 3 modes. So we use drawing, we use writing, and
actually writing.
Well, we have all different ages, right?
Okay.
And actually, this goes across the gamut. That some exercises you want to write because it feels good to write. When you're actually writing pieces to edit, like that we are taking really seriously, we're going to be using the computer. So we're mostly using Google Docs and writing comments in each other's documents, and they're revising because we're taking their work really seriously.
Yeah, you are.
But at the same time, it's also really nice to take a break every now and then and do an exercise handwritten. And our younger kids are often drawing out their stories, drawing out scenes. So, and also we have a lot of interns. A lot of our graduates stay and new kids come. It's actually a very competitive internship program, which is cool. Kids apply from all over the country. We hire about 15 every summer from outside of Writopia. But the interns type for our youngest set. So sometimes kids will come in saying, like they feel frustrated because they can't write. They think they can't write. Yeah. So we're first helping them realize that they're storytellers and that actually writing, that's just writing is storytelling. Right. And this is just the mechanical part of it. And we're helping them develop the critical thinking and the linear thinking and the organizational and the structural. So they're dictating, but they're getting all of the deep work. They're doing all the deep work with the intern and with the instructor, developing the story. And then as they get older and older, and as the weeks progress, they're typing a little bit more on their own, they're writing a little bit more on their own, and so until they're putting it all together. But we don't want the mechanical part to stop the deeper part, and also the beautiful connection to the writing experience.
Right. Well, how does it make them a better writer? I mean, how are they all coming out so successful? What is it doing for
Writing
them?
and thinking.
Yeah.
So they're becoming thinkers.
Okay, so you're
So,
watching it.
as one parent said the other day, I got to get my son back here right away. He's growing his soul here. He's growing his soul.
And what is this like an everyday class? Is it once a week?
Once a week.
Okay.
Once a week. So they're saying things like, why is this character doing this? Why do people do this?
Yeah.
Right. So we're asking the big questions. So they're developing as thinkers, and that's really changing them. For a lot of them, it's changing their orientation in school and in the world, right? Because they're having these big conversations, and so they're developing as thinkers, and then you know the idea is that the more they fall in love with their pieces, the more they're going to think about the presentation of their piece. So we don't teach story in order to teach grammar, but we're teaching them the grammar and the mechanics and the excitement of a semicolon and the excitement of a one-line paragraph to best serve their piece.
Ooh, the semicolon.
We had a girl freak out a few weeks ago. She was like, I can't believe I never knew this.
Really?
Yeah, very excited over the semicolon.
Wow, that's an exciting piece of punctuation
But
there,
the
that semicolon.
one-line paragraph excites kids the most.
Which is?
It's like, but he didn't hear him.
Next paragraph.
Next paragraph.
Enter.
Yeah, they're like, oh my God,
Do you know
because
what?
the drama, you know.
Rebecca, you know what I overuse? What's the word for it? The 3 dots.
Oh, the ellipses.
The ellipses. I know that I'm using it too much. It's basically my entire stream of thought, via text and all, which is the only way I'm writing these days.
I was going to say in what context. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not sitting down.
Do you know script?
Do I know script? So if I write script, I write like a third grader. Like I sit down and I hold my pencil and then I'm like the L for Laverne. I'll go to L, A, V, E. Now, if I was just going to say either block letter it or text it to you, I could tell you 8 things Laverne did this morning before I got to the end of the word Laverne. So yeah, we don't, it's when do you use it as grown-ups? We don't write, and I don't write that much anymore unless I'm just throwing some notes down.
Well, I certainly can't read it when I do write it.
Oh, I can't read anything I write. But the ellipses I'm really into now. It really helps. It's a crutch is what it is, Rebecca. It's a crutch.
Because I don't need to finish this sentence.
I don't have to finish the sentence. You
3
finish
dots.
it for me,
Right. Your
Ran
job.
to the store, ... Woo, exhausted,
Tag your it.
Tag your it. Now you give me something with that ellipses. That was the best thing to need to happen. What's your favorite piece of punctuation? Oh, this conversation is riveting. I love this.
But I do love the one line. That's not punctuation, but I love the one line.
The one line.
paragraph.
Look how excited you go.
I get excited about that.
Yeah.
I spread so much joy with it, and okay.
Huh? What about the hyphen?
I was about to say M dash.
Oh, the
I was
dash.
about to say the M dash.
Oh, the
You
M
read
dash.
my mind.
What's an M dash?
The M dash is the 2 hyphens together. It's actually the reason it's called an M dash is because it's the size of a capital M. The width.
Oh, what
is
is
the
that?
width. It's just the long. You probably are just calling it.
What does
hyphen.
it mean?
What do you?
It looks like an M?
It's a very. The M dash is a hyphen. It's a double hyphen.
Oh, is there a difference between the hyphen and the double hyphen?
Hyphen is just for like Wallace-Segal, and you're
Right.
double.
Actually,
hyphen.
John Foster Wallace, right? Didn't John Foster Wallace, like the author, he used the hyphen like a lot, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah, but I use the
But that's-
hyphen like the ellipses.
But I think you're not talking about the M dash?
Anyway.
The hyphen you're just using to connect 2 words.
2 words, but he would connect like 12 words with it. And
So that's an M. Oh, connecting 12 words.
12 words will
Like
get all together, and
right.
yeah, that's
So it's making compound words and
Right, so that's not what we're
words.
thinking about.
So that's cool. They're
Yeah.
all cool, but M dash is where you're putting a whole idea. So
Give me an example.
yeah. So I was sitting here on the couch with you. Thinking about my children. M dash. Maxanne having 7 years old with mono for 2 weeks.
See, I
Joelle
use the
with a bad
parentheses
cold.
with that.
But the parentheses means it's not that important, where the M dash means it's important.
My God, my whole life I've unimportanted all my thoughts. Who knew? Like no one was even paying attention, and some of my best
But
work
actually,
was in the
parenthetically
parentheses.
speaking, it was.
That's really funny. I really put some of my best work in parentheses. I'm never going to do that
And people
again.
were just like, "Oh, I'm not going to pay attention."
Yeah.
No, I'm sure they.
Do you have a hard time not correcting people as someone who is probably a stickler for grammar?
So there's sometimes, but mostly I've been spending the last 9 years not correcting people so that everyone can feel comfortable, and then we could correct them later.
Okay.
So I've really trained myself to not do that.
Like if you ask your daughter how she's doing, she's like, I feel good, or I don't feel good. And you're like, I don't feel well. You don't do that.
I don't, to her,
You do
My
that.
daughter, it's different. She's not general
Daughter gets a lot of pressure, right?
I mean, like fewer, the word fewer
Yes.
versus little. Like
Yes.
that's like, in my household, it's like fewer. Like you just hear that being shouted at people
Right.
like 3 times a day.
That's a much, the intellectual level of her household is slightly higher. In my house, you hear like, duty. That's what Harper likes to say now, and it drives me up the wall.
Oh yeah, you never hear any food preferences in my house. Never.
Really?
Just kidding.
Oh, I don't understand the fascination. My kids, Quinn can't speak yet, but Harper's obsessed with it, and she thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. I'm like, it's actually gross.
It's not going to go away for a very long
Really?
time. And then once it goes away, it turns right into like making out and pot.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah.
I have
Yeah.
a terrible couple of years ahead of me.
Oh.
Your daughter's how old?
I have 5 and 7.
5 and 7.
My 7-year-old is into poop even more than she was when she was
Oh, you have
5.
2 girls.
2.
Oh.
Yes, and it's not a boy-girl thing.
Yeah.
At least my girls are proving that it's like all that gender stuff out the window.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I
Poop,
feel better.
punching, all that stuff.
No, it stresses. I don't know. It's good. Like thank gosh I ran into you because I have to send my kids to Writopia because otherwise they would never learn how to write anything. That's how I feel right now. But this is, as a mother, a new mother, you are so highly influenced by literally anything that just blows your way that you feel like you need to do. And in New York City, it's even worse.
The other day you were referring to the essay that you had to write for
Quinn.
For
We had
Quinn.
to write an essay for my 19-month-old to get her into school, an application.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That stressed me out.
Yeah.
Well, obviously I didn't
I can help you
really-
with that anytime.
Yeah, now I know. So, just so you know, you will be helping me with that many, many times. I am a decent writer.
Did you put too
I'm
many
sure you
things in
are.
parentheses in the application?
The whole thing was in parentheses. I started off with,
That's good.
And-
That's good because then you're humble for preschool. Then they're like, oh,
really?
well.
Okay. I mean, I want.
Unless they think this means that you're trying to accentuate. I'm just kidding.
No, I want people to think Quinn's a little badass, but I don't want her to think she's too humble.
Right.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
gonna learn.
I hope so. I want to take it back. Remember that episode of Seinfeld where he wrote, "No one's finer than being in your diner," and he wanted to take it back, and she said no, and he practically got fired. Probably not.
Well, like you're a pretty great talker, which means you're a pretty great writer.
Is that?
It's one and the same.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I
I'm
didn't know
100%
that.
sure you're a fantastic writer.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I write the way I speak.
That's
So when people read it for the first time, they hear my voice. And I always think that's important to be able to hear the author's voice. So if you can read someone's work and know who wrote it, I like that.
It's the
I
first
like
thing we
doing
try to do with our writers is help them get their voice back,
Oh, that's interesting.
and that's their and then they're in love. Then
Yeah.
they're connected to their writing again, and then we go from there.
Do you still read?
Because I'm a mother.
No.
It's a very good question.
I stopped reading. Yeah, when I
Yeah.
had kids, I
Yeah.
lost time.
Yeah, I've just my kids are now just a little bit older. The last year, I just started reading a little bit more
What?
again.
Give me something. Give me.
Well, I just read nonfiction. I just read Adam Grant's Give and Take,
Okay.
which is great.
Okay.
But it's not fun to talk about.
Yeah. Okay.
Here, but so that's about how you can like do good, you can do business and do good.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. It is boring.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. Yeah,
she
yeah,
said it was
yeah,
boring.
yeah.
I'm just saying that sounds boring. Like I was going to say, I read Harriet the Spy.
I read a great piece of YA. I read a lot of YA to just keep up with my kids, my students,
Okay.
and it's also fun. And the other brother, not really my brother, African American author.
You're asking me?
I'm asking.
Yeah, that's not going to
That's
help
not gonna
anybody.
happen.
No. Like, let me be honest with you about the last book.
I'm sorry, shaking.
You're
I have
shaking.
to figure out a way not to laugh and shake.
No, I want you to laugh. Like, I need feedback.
Oh, okay.
I read all the, like, Angels and Demons and the Da
Uh-huh.
Vinci Code
Okay.
and the, like, the Digital Fortress. I think he wrote 4 books. I read all of those, and I was like, well, now I'm going to take a break for 10 years, and then I'll come back and read some more. So I'm in the 10-year block right now where I don't feel like I need to read anything for a while.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
great.
Well, after you read the newspaper in the morning, and then you go through your social media, and then all the blogs, and then like a couple of magazine articles that you've been waiting to read. Like, who has time? Who has time to sit down and read a book? I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, and really what I read now are stories written by 7-year-olds to 17-year-olds.
You especially.
And so I do feel like, but I have to read every now and then when adults are. So I really feel embarrassed right now but Miranda.
Kerr?
No. Oh my God, what's happening?
Lambert? Is it Lambert?
Do you think
Cosgrove.
this is live? Does it have to be live?
Is it
It's live.
Cosgrove?
It's
But,
live,
yeah.
Or we can change Facebook Live. I
Okay,
guess,
that's
and make
awesome.
it Facebook.
Great. So everyone tune into that version.
Actually, no, we don't have an edited version.
Um,
Sorry.
Anyway, go ahead. Yes.
What's the point? The point is that we just...
The point is it's so hard to
hard.
read when you're a working mom, when you're a mom, when you're working, when you're a working mom.
But what I run into is that I want my kids to see that how important it is. So we really try to read them 5 books a night.
Oh,
and just get them, even if they're not following or paying attention. We have 2. I have a 3-year-old and a 19-year-old.
They read 5 books a night?
Well, I read, or Steph reads 5 books a night. Quinn, like, I don't know what she's doing, hanging from the chandelier somewhere. And Harper, I mean, did I bear these kids? She has the attention span of, like, your nose. Like, she doesn't, I'm trying to
So we do
get
the
them
same
to...
thing. We read, for us it's 3 now. We read 3, but also our books are long. Now they're reading
ours is like
chapter
Good Night
books.
Moon, Good
Right.
Night Hush.
Oh, jumping
Good
over
But I'm
the
also
moon.
trying to role model reading an actual physical book of my own in front of them. That's my new goal.
Like reading a book that you wrote? Or
No. I mean, like not just reading them books and not just reading online, but I just want to make sure that they're also seeing me holding a book.
Oh, that's fun.
That's ambitious. Miranda July is what I was talking about. I just started reading Miranda July up and down. That's a non-boring thing to say for everyone to read Miranda July.
You know what, give me, that's fun.
Yeah.
Give me an author that when I'm in social circles and someone says, who are you reading right now? Like,
Miranda
obviously,
July.
Miranda July.
It'll change your life. She's a beautiful, beautiful writer.
No, you're mistaken. I'm not actually going to read the book.
Just
I just want to
say her name.
Actually, we can have you read
Short
the book.
stories.
I have a
Short
good
stories.
idea.
What? The short stories.
Miranda July. Now, she's published a number of books, or
Yes, she's published books, short stories. She's published in the New Yorker, her short stories.
What's her thing? What's so great about her
Very
work?
realistic to the point that you think you're reading a memoir, and it's so uncomfortable because, like, how could this really have happened? But it really didn't.
Like Larry David?
No.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's where that conversation ended. Because, like, you watch that show and it's very uncomfortable.
this is a conversation starter, or an
so you're right. That's uncomfortable
All
for
right.
social awkwardness.
Yeah.
This is uncomfortable in a much more it's not awkward. It's not because it's awkward, but it's because it's so like intense and it's impossible to I had never realized anyone would do that. I'm gonna stop that.
No, I love it. I didn't know. No, you make me laugh. Okay, Miranda July. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
But I'm fascinated by Rightopia, and I would love to come just watch you guys do something sometime. Just watch. Do you teach all year round? Is it
All year round. Yep.
All right,
Summer,
I'm
we
gonna
also
do
run a
this
sleepaway camp.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
yeah, we try. Our goal is to become the life of your child. Like we are. Your child wants to live with us.
Okay.
And
I don't know if I want that, but you know what? I'm going to get close.
Yeah.
We'll get close to it.
Yeah, but we're all like, a lot of us who started Rightopia were like Jewish moms, attachment, love your kid,
Sure.
hanging out with your kid all the time. It comes from love, not psychosis.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
5 years old is pretty much that age where I can bring them there.
Yes.
So I had 2 years to convince Harper to get her active gear and get
do
her
the
to
kids
Rightopia.
have a choice? Like most of the kids show up, don't the parents just like sort of bring them, or is it not like an after-school activity where they don't play sports or they don't want to play sports?
Wait, are you saying are the kids choose?
The
to
kids,
be
do
there?
they choose to be there, or
So
is
that's
it like a
a
parent?
great
know.
question. Well, our core, whenever we start in the world, our core kids are the most prolific, bookwormish kids in the whole area. That's our core. But by this point on the Upper West Side, about 30% of our kids are coming in because they call themselves reluctant, or their parents are calling them reluctant writers, and they come in and we are told they are reluctant writers. But I'm telling you, after the first session, the instructor doesn't even know who came in reluctant and who didn't, because they're having a great time.
Yeah.
Because once, the kid, the boy thinks he hates to write, but now he's writing a baseball story, or a sci-fi story, or some story.
Who probably didn't even know he had an option to be able to write about what he wanted to write about.
Exactly. And so the instructors are like, what? Jimmy's reluctant? And I'm not saying that that's everybody, but an incredibly small percentage still struggle to like writing after the first few weeks. Because it's just it's storytelling and talking and making stuff up, and that's fun for everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This is great. I had a lot of fun. I understand it now, and
Awesome.
if nothing else, at least the next time I'm at a big dinner party and someone says, "So Jenna, who are you reading?" Have you read recent Miranda July?
Yeah.
Is that her name?
That's her name.
Yeah, I mean she's just putting out some really good work. It's awkward.
Does she live in New York, you think? Miranda July?
Lance wants to get her on the show.
Let's get her on the show.
Get her on the
That'd be
show and we'll
amazing.
start reading Miranda
Wait,
July.
first we have to have Judy Blume on, because
She
Judy
is in the
Blume.
neighborhood. She is in the neighborhood.
She's in the neighborhood?
Yes, Judy Blume is in the neighborhood.
Judy Blume affected me in such a profound way.
How?
Well, I mean, you read Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing and tell me, I mean, I didn't know what it meant for a boy to have keys, which she thought he had keys in his pocket. Like, I still think about this to this day. Like, what was that when they were slow dancing at the dance? Like, she thought he had keys. Like, what 14-year-old is carrying keys in their pocket? Did he drive there? We must increase our bust. The bigger, the better, the tighter the sweater. Yeah, Judy Blume, super fudge and blubber. And
It's still in classrooms.
Is it?
Yeah, it's in my daughter's second grade classroom in the boxes.
Really?
Yeah. She's like, Mommy, Judy Blume, the author you talked about, she's there.
Love
like,
that.
Great.
I loved her. I loved Beverly Cleary. It was a big one with me. All the Beesuses. I don't know what's out there today. There was a big gap between that and Nancy Drew for me. I don't remember much between that and Nancy Drew. By Nancy Drew, you're getting all serious. There aren't that many pictures on the pages, and that's it. Well, I would love you to come back and sort of share some good stories and stuff with us at some point.
Wonderful.
And I'll come up there and lug my 2 kids and tell them what cursive is all about.
Great. And if you ever want any of our kids to like read stories or show off their cursive skills,
I would love that. We should do a cursive workshop.
We should do
A fun cursive workshop.
Yeah.
That sounds
and
great.
not that we emphasize that at Rotopia, but we are just lovers of language and writing. So
I'm
our kids.
a lover of language and writing.
Yeah.
I'm now a lover of you, Rebecca. So
I love you. I'm so glad. Thank you for having me.
Segal, Wallace-Segal.
No, don't do it.
That's like calling me gospel felt. No, from one hyphenated last name to another.
Yeah.
I want to say it's a burden that we have to carry around with us, but it's a good burden.
It's a really good
long,
burden.
wonderful last named kind of group.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Our kids feel our family is cohesive.
Yes,
right?
it is.
We are all of one.
We are not leaving anybody out.
No.
Everyone who is part of this family gets a name, and we lug everybody's name around with us.
No. When my 7-year-old has boyfriends, she's like, so would we do this? And like she hyphenates in all different directions. I'm like, yeah, you go, girl. You just keep figuring it out.
It's such a literary and like writing family when they play those kind of games. Thank you very much. Next time I'm passing by 81st Street, I will definitely come
Wonderful.
out and
Thanks
say
so
hi.
much for having me.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll be back.
Okay.